right, pleased to be joined by Joseph Debarthe, who's written a book, Biblical and Non-Biblical Evidences for the Book of Mormon. Pat Winholtz, his editor, is also with him. So hello to both of you.
Good morning.
Let's talk about the book first, Joseph, the reason why you wrote it. What made you decide, hey, I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to get it out there into the world?
Well, for years, God has been telling me I needed to do something to help people understand the connection between the Bible and the Book of Mormon. And I've been working on it for a long time in my head, but I got to the point where I said, God, I can't remember all this stuff. I just can't handle it all. What do you want me to do? And I felt he said to write a book, to put it down, write it all down, get it all in place. So I did what he asked. And I wrote the book with his help. And what you have in front of you is the result of what I believe was a spiritual directive from God. And I hope it will be of help to many people to help them in their spiritual walk with Christ.
So the biblical side of this, because biblical and non-biblical, just give me an example, because of course people can read the book and they'll get this all in depth. But tell me about some biblical evidence for what you're talking about with the Book of Mormon.
Okay. There's, let me see, I'm trying to decide which one to go to so much. There's, the Bible clearly talks about there's being two books that are being brought together. The book of Joseph and the book of Judah. The book of Judah, of course, is the Bible, including the New Testament. The book of Joseph, though, is not the Bible, but it is, in fact, the Book of Mormon. I challenge anyone to show me anything in the New Testament that deals with any house of Israel other than Judah, because that's what it's all about. The New Testament of the Bible is the book of Judah, or in other words, the history of the house of Judah, which is the tribe of Judah and Benjamin and some of Levi. And then you have the house of Israel, which is all the other 10 tribes.
So,
and that's clearly defined in the Bible.
Yeah, so Pat, pick it up from there. Editing this, would be so key so that people can understand it. What was it like editing, especially the biblical side of it?
Well, I felt like the book that Joe was writing was worthwhile because the Book of Mormon itself makes claims about how you can tell whether it's telling you the truth. And if it were telling you the truth, in my mind, it would be consistent with what's in the Bible. And it says, all you have to do is ask for a verification. Ask the Lord whether this book is true. It doesn't make claims about itself independent of you. It says, go ahead and ask the Lord if what you have here is true. And if it is, he'll give you a witness about it. So what this is talking about is the people who left the Middle East at the time of the confounding of languages, the earliest people coming from one side of the continent and the later people coming from a different direction, all of them coming to what I would call Central America. And then those people proliferated over the years, and we have the incredible archaeological remains of the Olmecs, the Maya, and the Aztecs. And all of these people have a history. And a lot of that history coincides with what the Bible is talking about. So people have an opportunity to make those connections, but they gotta invest a little time. That's all.
I like how you put that. They had to invest a little time, just like Joseph did in pulling this together and then enlisting your help. And, talking about the biblical side and the non-biblical evidence, let's talk about the non-biblical evidence. And we'll stay with you, Pat, for a second. So when we look at non-biblical evidence, what are we looking at in the book?
Now, if I understand you correctly, I would say we're looking at what is available from an archaeological point of view in the Central American area, which would be the area of the Maya. And we're looking now at the stela that are everywhere down there, which are now in the process of being decoded. Interesting stuff. For example, there is a glyph that actually means, and it came to pass. And that has been deciphered by archaeologists. Does that not sound very familiar, like a biblical phrase?
Yep.
And it came to pass? Okay, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's the stuff that's on those stela as they're being deciphered. And a lot of this is covered by the jungle overgrowth, which is now being exposed by LiDAR technology. This humongous, vast civilization. So if we can get to the root of what these stela are saying, it's going to turn out that they're going to give us a history that coincides with what we already know. It's a beautiful thing, but somebody has to give it a chance and find out that this is true.
I like the way you put that. And so, Joseph, for you, the non-biblical evidence side, just like Pat was telling us, when you look at the archaeology, when you look at what's happening, what's being uncovered, that has to be really exciting. Was it interesting for you to write about that side of it?
Yes, it was. And there's, one of the things that I wrote about is where the lost tribes of Israel are. We actually know where they are and who they are. And I've defined that clearly in the book. And that was something God pointed out to me that I learned when I was writing the book.
Also things like concrete.
Also that there's a lot of proof or evidence that they had concrete. The Book of Mormon claims that they had concrete, but for years the non-believers have claimed that there wasn't ever anything in concrete. But now we have solid evidence that there was, in fact, lots of concrete used by them.
So it's exciting to see what's going to happen down the road for sure. And again, the book is called Biblical and Non-Biblical Evidences for the Book of Mormon. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold, of course. And Joseph, for you, what do you hope people take away? And I think both of you are saying it, but what do you hope people take away from reading your book?
It shows the clear-cut evidence is the preponderance of truth of evidence that the Book of Mormon and the Bible teach the same thing.
And it's also a witness about Jesus.
And it's a second witness. It's truly a second witness that Christ is the Son of God and the Savior of the world. There's one more thing I would like to do. In Revelation, there's a prophecy that there are 4 and 20 elders sitting on thrones around the throne of Christ. Who are those 24 elders? Do you know?
No.
Well, 12 of them we know is defined in the Bible as the 12 disciples God appointed or called to be his disciples when he lived on the earth.
And what about the rest? That's what I would know.
12, right. The other 12 are not defined by the Bible, but they are defined by the Book of Mormon. Because when Christ came to America after he left Israel, the country of Israel, he appointed 12 more disciples. So if you have 12 disciples in Israel, the country of Israel, and 12 disciples in America, that's 24. And that's where the 4 and 20 elders comes from.
Ah, all right. So good lesson in that. Pat, I'm going to give you the last word because you helped Joseph pulled this all together. Editing is so important to make that flow, and there's a flow to this. Was it an exciting project for you?
Yes, I felt like it was very rewarding personally. And Joe and I have been friends for some time. I'm just a retired English teacher. I am not a professional editor, but I do know, what a preposition is and how to construct an English sentence. So it's been exciting for me to just kind of make something beautiful out of that. It was a beautiful thing.
Perfect place to end this. A beautiful thing. Joseph Debarthe, Pat Winslet, thanks so much. Again, biblical and non-biblical evidences for the Book of Mormon. As I said, you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever books are sold. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.